Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another review. Tonight we're looking at Hammer's Vampire Circus. Now this is not long been re-released by ITV Studios on its 50th anniversary, and this is the 50th anniversary Blu-ray edition. It's a very intriguing, sort of bizarre and wonderful story. It's one of Hammer's like final sort of bow out, if you like, to the vampire stories, and this is one that doesn't star any of your normal Hammer kind of icons that you'd expect to see in their vampire stories, like Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. They have made a number of vampire films that do not include these or Count Dracula, and this one doesn't. It does have a count, but this is a very strange looking count, this one, and he lives in a castle by this small village that seems to be enticing all the women of the village, and he seems to be feeding on them and living off their blood and their bodies and stuff like this. And it all comes to a pot when a young girl that's been sort of like lured away into the woods, which is probably every parent's nightmare. She's playing in the meadow while her dad's watching over, and she's being lured into the woodlands and into the castle, and the dad pursues without any success. And whilst in the castle we meet the Count, and the girl meets the Count and now succumbs to her death as he bites his fangs into her, and she dies, the young girl. And the woman then, the female that lured the young girl in, then starts to make love to the vampire in a very sort of seductive, erotic way. And the father's outside with all the villagers, trying his best to try and salvage something from this and get all the villagers on board to kind of like, let's get in there. Your wives are in there, your sisters, your lovers, your boyfriends, your girlfriends are all in there. We need to go now, but they're all so reluctant because they were so worried that the Count's going to get them all hung. But after persuasion, he persuades them to go to the castle, and they break through into the castle, and we see the young girl's body on the table with all her neck torn out, and everyone else has sort of gone missing. And then they start searching and looking around, and he's shouting for his other family members, and our Count then appears, and they all start trying to attack him, but he sort of kills them off one by one with swords, with strangulations, with biting them, and he's fighting his way through them, but he's kind of outnumbered, and he succumbs to his end when one of them, the father of the daughter, drives a stake through his back, straight through his heart. And then the young woman appears, sort of crying and sort of like humbly wants him to sort of arise. And this young woman is, I believe, the wife of the father of the girl that was taken. And so they all grab her and take her outside, and they all sort of leave the castle saying the Count's dead, no more fear on our women. But he places a curse on them. He says to them that, all your children will pay for this. They will all die, and all this sort of thing. And as we're outside and we see the families sort of grieving over their lost mothers and wives and things, they decide to burn down the castle. And so they all sort of put gunpowder in and sort of set fire to this castle. And the female vampires now got the Count. She dragged him into the catacombs of the cellar of this castle, where we see hung from all walls around this catacombs bodies, corpses of women that have been used as food for this vampire to live off its blood and their bodies, and they're all sort of like hanging from the walls. And our vampire sends a message through to our young female, who then escapes through the catacombs as the castle is being set on fire. And I believe she's been sent to get others to come back to the town. And then we sort of see the future of the town, where they are now plagued by this plague, and they're all sort of dying one by one, all the villagers and the children, and all the men that went to the castle to burn it down are sort of succumbed to this building, and no one will go near them because they fear of them because of the curse. And these men are in this house, and they're arguing with one another about vampires. And most of them don't believe in the vampires, and others do believe in it and say, oh, it's a curse, it's a curse. No, it's an illness, it's an infection, it's a virus. And so the doctor leaves the town trying to find a cure for this virus. He has to pass roadblocks of gunfire as he tries to escape this town, because obviously they are trying to let nobody in and nobody out. But somehow this circus comes in. We see a little a dwarf come in dressed as a clown, and he's shouting circus, and he's followed by these old traditional sort of gypsy stage coaches with horses. And we see these animals in cages like tigers and panthers, and the panthers are sort of flashing between a man and a panther. He's sort of like this panther is actually a man, and he has the ability to transform from a panther to a man, and he seduces all the young girls in the village, and all this kind of wonderful things coming on. And this circus is rather strange. It's led by a female and the other circus workers, and they are behaving very strange towards the people of the village. We see a family trying to escape the village, and they get moored in the forest. The clown has led them there to this area. He says they're past the roadblock, and they get moored, and they are sort of like all mangled and sort of half eaten by our panther, and they're killed by it. And then we realise that these are vampires, and they are there for one reason. They're there to resurrect the Count. And so eventually they make their way to the castle, and they're trying to kill all the children and that in the village so they can resurrect their Count. So are they going to do it? It's a wonderful, weird journey to watch, and it's probably one of the best vampire films I've seen. It's so wonderfully strange and different that it's kind of magical. You're sort of glued to it, because there's all these amazing characters, not just the circus but the villagers. We've got the teacher who's yearning for peace, because he's lost his daughter, he's lost his wife. And we've got the sort of the mayor of the town, who's like this old man who's still trying to have it that there's peace in the town and everything's great. And we've got very angry people in the village because of what's happened. We've got a doctor that's gone off to try and find a cure for this illness, and his young son, who's fallen for one of the young girls in the village, who's fallen for our Panther Man, who's a vampire. And all these little triangles and weird things going around with these characters. It's a wonderful, wonderful film, and it's absolutely gripping to watch. Now, this edition that's been released, the only thing I can say about it, the transfer is not brilliant. It's like a good DVD and a poor Blu-ray. I don't think it seems to me they've almost just put the DVD transfer onto the Blu-ray. looks very drained of colour, and sometimes you'll get a flash of it looking really nice and sharp, but most of it looks really drained of colour with a lot of noise on the film, and that's the only thing that takes it out of there. But then again, I try to place myself. I'm pretending I'm back in the day in the 70s, and I'm watching this film on my television on a Saturday or Sunday night on BBC Two, like 11:30 at night. It's a sort of film that would have been on, and this film has lavishes of gore, and it has lots of sort of blood and wonderful sort of set pieces in the village and in the woods, and with the circus performers performing their acts with our clown and our sort of, like, we've got a couple of dancers that are doing this dance which is makes the animals react. It's a very strange but wonderful story, and these are all sort of vampires that have come to resurrect their count, that he has placed a curse on this village. So to see how it all pans out, you'll need to watch it yourself, because I'm not going to spoil any sort of spoilers or ending to this film. All I'll tell you that it is a wonderful Hammer film. This 50th anniversary edition comes with the actual film, a slipcase, a reversible cover, and a booklet. It's not cheap. This is about £25, and when I think of the value of the money, I would say for the film, absolutely. But for the quality of the Blu-ray, absolutely not. I would say if you can pick the DVD up at a good price, pick that up. You might find it in places like CEX and places like that for, like, I don't know how much it goes on there for the DVD, but you might be able to find a DVD of a Hammer release of this. To me, I would pick that up just because the transfer is not anything spectacular for a 50th anniversary edition. It really hasn't. Now, the only thing it's got really going for it is it does have a selection of special features, which I'm going to view in my own leisure. But I will recommend you seeing the film. I'm just not sure if I recommend you picking up this copy. Guys, till my next review, please check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzawell, I Am the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. And a massive shout out to my son. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.